7 o'clock, we'll call the meeting of the Bourne Select Board to order on Tuesday, May 13th, 2025. Note this meeting is being televised, streamed, or recorded by Bourne TV. If anyone in the audience is recording or videotaping, they need to acknowledge it at this time.
Okay, I'm on Zoom.
Okay, Jamie. Use of flash photography during select board meetings is prohibited. If anyone from the public wishes to access the meeting, they can do so by calling the conference line, 1-929-205-6099. The Zoom meeting ID is 897-1229-3538. The password is all uppercase Bourne, B-O-U-R-N-E. The Zoom chat will not be monitored. Participants who wish to speak must raise the hand icon until the chair asks them to unmute. All items within the meeting agenda are subject to deliberation and votes. We will start with a moment of silence to recognize our troops and public safety personnel. And a salute to the flag.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next is report out from executive session. The select board voted in executive session to have a new public hearing for Market Basket to consider an ABCC license for them. Date is yet to be determined. Next item is community shout out and recognition. Does anyone like to speak on shout outs?
Sure.
Anne Marie.
Okay. A few shout outs for Bourne Public Schools. They received what's called the Purple Star Award designation, which is because of their support for military families and the children, military children in our schools. They received this Purple Star designation. Also, the high school's music teacher, Lisa Forney-Donnelly, who's actually retiring this year, has made it to the quarterfinals of the 2026 Grammy Music Educator Award. Thousands and thousands of educators qualified for this award. Just being designated is an honor in itself, and she's made it all the way to the quarterfinals. Semifinals, I think we'll hear September if she makes it to the semifinals, but she's an amazing music teacher at Bourne High School. And then the high school has also received their 4th Innovation Career Pathway designation, and this one's for cybersecurity, computer science. So shout out to Bourne Public Schools.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My shout out is to our town moderator, Amy Kuba, for doing an excellent job at the last town meeting. First time we're going 2 nights in a while, and she held it together. So I want to say thank you, Amy, for doing a great job.
Great. Next is public comment on non-agenda items. Is there anyone here to speak on a non-agenda item? Welcome. Please introduce yourself.
Hello.
Hi, Judy.
I'm Judith Froman from Sagamore Beach. It's nice to see your smiling faces. And I just have to comment about Mrs. Fournier and the music. This isn't my comment, but, you know, the students who are in band have her every single day for 4 years. That's pretty impressive. That, you know, and she still rises to the occasion of being, so recognized. Anyways, that's exciting. Anyways, I have a little letter that I'll hand over to you. This public comment is an effort to improve public engagement in the municipal process. The Select Board oversees the town budget, as you know, and my hope is that the following never happens again to a group of voters in the town of Bourne. On April 10th, 2025, the Planning Board held a public hearing in which local citizens attended and spoke up about their concerns and considerations for a town project. The meeting ended with the closing of the hearing, which was not audible to the people in attendance, creating an unfortunate follow-up Planning Board meeting on April 24th, 2025, of neighborhood citizens being told that only the Planning Board would be discussing the development and that the hearing had been closed at the previous meeting. There was standing room only of citizens wanting to hear the status of the development and to weigh in on feedback their neighbors had regarding the previous meeting. The intention was to let the board know that they had heard the board, thought about the neighborhood suggestions, and were going to offer compromise solutions. COVID opened meetings to more participation than prior to online or hybrid meetings. Improvements to our Bourne TV audio followed. However, those in physical attendance are still at a disadvantage as the boards are not projecting their voices for the audience to hear clearly. There was inaudible chatter at this meeting amongst the board. When people asked at the April 24th meeting for the board to speak up, they were greeted with a comment from a board member that said, "Listen harder." Pretty disturbing. The formal meeting process and terminology is not familiar to most people who are not involved in the process. I'm requesting that an effort be made to improve the acoustics in this room for in-person participation that is as effective as online in order to minimize misunderstandings.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I know it's hard to remember to speak up.
Okay, is there any other public comment?
Yeah, I'm not sure, I have to apologize, I'm not sure I know the agenda for the whole meeting.
So,
I'll just mention what I want to talk about, and if it's on the agenda, I'll just wait.
okay,
I want to talk about the building inspectors. Is that on the agenda?
no. So you may come to the podium and introduce yourself and speak your minds.
Oh, do I have to?
No, but you're supposed to, I'm supposed to say you're limited to
Yeah,
3
okay.
minutes and the
My-
board can't respond. But anyway, go
My
ahead.
name is Tim Scully, and I live at One Bay Drive in Buzzards Bay. And my understanding is that in the budget, we are going to hire some more building inspectors.
One additional full-time assistant building inspector?
And the reason for that, can I ask?
We can't be talking
We can't
about it. It's
respond
on.
to
We
this.
can't respond. It was part of the budget process. It was determined that there was a need for an additional building inspector, so we built.
So the one building inspector that we've had for years, it can't handle it. The town has grown too fast.
You may comment, we can't respond.
Oh, okay. Well, the reason I'm bringing it up is across the street from me at number 4 Bay Drive, there's a house that looks like it's falling apart. And supposedly, there was a permit pulled on it 2 years ago. And the information was sent out to abutters as to what was going to happen. A year after that permit was supposedly pulled out and approved, nothing was done. And I went to the building inspector and said, "What's the story with this thing?" And he said, "I'll check on it." Well, it's been another year has passed by and nothing's been done on this house. And it should be really, by now, it should be torn down because it's probably rat infested, okay? The siding has fallen off of it. The insulation is flapping in the breeze, and I get to sit there in my front porch and look at this god-awful piece of crap. And I just want to know what's going to happen to it, and when is the building inspector, or the building inspectors, do we have to wait for a new building inspector to get this problem taken care of? And how long do we have to wait after a permit is pulled to have it implemented? That's my concern here. That I came here with 2 reasons. One was the follow-up on the parking to listen to what was going on, and then this was a new thing that I just like to see something happen. That's my concern, and I'd like to hear something back from either the building inspector or the council as to what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scully. Okay, next, next item is the consent agenda, which includes A, election workers' appointments, B, library donation $20 from Anonymous, C, South Shore Action for Hope, use of Buzzards Bay Park for 1K for Type 1 fundraiser on October 5th, 2025, which is a renewal. D, one-day liquor license, Deanna Waldron, all alcoholic beverages, Sagamore Beach Colony Club, 30 Robinson Road. 1, Sagamore Beach annual fundraiser, July 12th, 2025. 2, Saggy Fest Social, August 9th, 2025. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Is that Melissa?
Yes.
Melissa. Motion by Melissa, second by Peter. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous, 500. I have had a request that item 10, possible reconsideration of the March 4th, 2025 vote regarding parking enforcement date in the Taylor's Point neighborhood be moved up for consideration. Is that okay with the board?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so that item, possible reconsideration of March 4th, 2025 vote. The reason this is on the agenda is I had, what?
I'm going to recuse myself due to my position as president of the Taylor's Point Association.
Okay.
And we have parking issues, so.
Okay. Come get you.
Yeah.
This is on the agenda because I've had several communications from people that the June 2nd date that we chose for enforcement left to kind of a couple of weeks where people that had been parking, students that had been parking wouldn't have a parking space, and created some confusion and angst. So it's just a question as to whether the board would consider moving the parking enforcement date to either June 13th, which I think is the last day of exams, or June 22nd, which I think is graduation. Is there any discussion?
I know I felt strongly about standing our ground with this, and it is an issue that we have to deal with for the residents. But at the same time, I think by now the word has gotten out that we're not, we're serious about the parking enforcement. And if there are some people left, we don't need to cause any other undue angst for the students that are trying to wrap up. And I'd rather not see them create more problems by parking somewhere else, or, I don't know. I think that at this point, we should give allowances, my opinion is, until graduation, and then just,
So, Madam Chair, you said
Yes.
you've been hearing from people. Are they the students, or are they the homeowners that are
It's actually,
providing parking?
it's actually, it's a number of people. It's a number of people. So it's some people who students have been looking to see if they could find alternative parking, some other place. And then it's some of the people that have had parking. So, concern for the people that are, the students that are parking, and so it's different people.
Because they're not in session, right? Only some of the students are in session, correct? Is all of Mass Maritime still in session right now?
that I don't know.
Does anyone know?
But if finals,
Mr. Scully, would you like to speak?
I thought we were just going to discuss the date.
You need to go to the mic,
yeah.
I thought we were going to just discuss the date that it was going to take place, not make
Right.
any other changes.
Correct,
No, so my,
Discuss the date.
right.
right, so my question is,
Well,
there's ample parking now because there's not a lot of students left on the campus.
right.
What does that mean?
Well, that doesn't,
But they
but if
can't
you
all
never
park
bought,
They can't park
yeah, they
there.
can't
If
park
they're not
there.
a-
You're not
if you
allowed to
don't-
have a
They
car
can't-
on
they just
campus as a
can't.
freshman, they can't,
Freshmen
doesn't
can't
matter.
park.
And that's what I'm thinking about, are the kids that are kind of left out in the lurch. In the meantime, the other parking areas closer to Main Street and everything are busting at the seams, and it's gotten a little too close to the sidewalk in spots, you know? It's kind of, it looks overrun, so.
So this is initiated by the students because they're struggling,
Find parking.
To find parking for the
till
last couple weeks of
last couple of
school.
weeks of school, and they're
Yeah.
in session.
Yeah.
You know.
And there's a lot of situations too where you're a freshman and you end up being like the last final and the last day of stuff and you don't have a chance
You're
to
also not supposed to have
skip
a car
out.
on campus.
No doubt, no doubt. And I think that the message has gotten out and next year, let's hope
I think
students.
I don't like sort of prohibition mentality enforcement. If we're gonna enforce something, I want it to actually be enforced. I don't wanna have a date and then not enforce it until
Right.
another date.
Yeah.
I'd rather
And
say,
I thought we
I'd
were
rather move the
accomplishing
date.
that to
Yeah.
accommodate them.
Right.
Yeah,
The whole sole purpose of, because I wanted May 1st, I wanted right away.
right.
Right.
And the
You
date, yeah.
know, I mean,
So,
yeah, taking into consideration.
So
I'm
it's up to
just-
the board. I think that June 22nd is the graduation. I would be personally in favor of change the enforcement date until June 22nd, and then it's a strict enforcement date, and it's done after that.
Yeah, I agree. I think, we did bring it on, and I do think that, what's a couple of more weeks? And then they know they've got to plan. Next year, it's a whole new thing. This is it. So I think with it's not much left here. We don't have too
Right.
much time. So I'm not opposed to it.
Is someone willing to make a motion? Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this? Yes, please. Please introduce yourself.
I am Bradshaw Upton from 51 Bourne Neck. I strongly support following the prohibition against unlicensed parking. I have all my life strongly supported zoning rules, and zoning rules were put in a long time ago for a good reason. I also feel very badly that you didn't clamp down. I'm 12 years there, and I've caused a lot of damage to my relationship with my next-door neighbor because of this. And it's wonderful that you're handling it and you're going to end it. I would, however, appreciate your smoothly going to the the end of the current semester at Mass Maritime, and we don't do this again. But I'll also support what you do here. If you're going to be real hardliners and say you get those damn cadets out on this particular date, I'll go along with it. I'll apologize to them, and we'll do it. But I think it would be much nicer for everybody, except for my dear neighbor who I've offended, hopefully not permanently, to extend the date by the 3 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I'd like to ask a question of the board's expectations.
Right.
If you change the date, is it your expectation that we mail everyone an updated letter? If the board changes the date, is it the board's expectation that the town mails everyone in the area an updated letter?
You mean on Taylor's Point?
Yes. Everyone who got a letter the first time around with the June 2nd date, do we send them an updated letter with the new date?
I don't think it's necessary. I think the board, if the board just votes that we extend it, and I think graduation might be the 24th, but I think if we extend it in a public meeting and neighbors are here, I think, the people that need to know will find out.
I mean, what do you suggest? Do you think we should, Marlene?
I would support that. We will spread the word. Save the postage.
As a formality, do you think we should?
I am very concerned that the board sent a letter and is now changing it and is
Right.
not
Right.
updating officially in the same manner that you did the first time around. That concerns me.
Yeah,
Me as
Okay.
well.
yeah. Consistency, I think we should.
Yep.
Sorry.
So can I ask one more question?
Yes,
Yes?
please.
Once we notify everyone that the date has changed, and people call and say, I've already canceled my lease based on the June 2nd date, how would you like me to respond to them?
I mean,
Thank you.
thank you. Yeah, I mean, we've just tried to accommodate the last few who have been unable to do so, and
Thank you for taking the
thank you
necessary
for
action
taking the
to
actions. yeah.
comply. Yeah.
That's what we'll do.
It's a tough spot. Are we voting? Did we vote?
I think we need a motion. I think we need a motion. And I thought that June 22nd was the date of graduation, but I think that's a fine date. If someone would like to make a motion?
Is that a Sunday?
It says commencement exercises on Saturday, June 21st, 2025.
It is a Sunday, so we could say June 23rd, which is the Monday. right?
Yes.
Yep. Is that a motion?
Yes, and make a motion that we give relief to the parking enforcement until June 23rd and notify all impacted residents.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Jean, second by Melissa. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.
And abstentions? Vote is 3-1-0. So, motion passes. So enforcement will begin on June 23rd, 2025 for the parking at Taylor's Point. Okay. Next item on the agenda is, we'll wait till Peter comes in.
Oh, yeah.
We go?
Here it comes.
Next item on the agenda is licensing and events. Licensing new farmers market permit, Aquatic Brewing LLC, sampling and off-premises sales, Sandwich Bourne Farmers Market, Tuesdays, June 17th, 2025, to October 14th, 2025, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., 1131 Sandwich Road. And is this a separate permit? Do these need to be voted separately?
Separately, please.
Okay. Okay, is there anyone here from Aquatic Brewing LLC that would like to speak? I don't see anyone. So my things keeps shutting off. Okay.
It looks like from the route slip, there's no concerns other than to follow the liquor laws that are presently. So he is looking.
Is there a motion in our packet that we're?
Motion to approve the farmer's market permit for the sampling and sale of products for off-premises consumption produced by Aquatic Brewing LLC at the Bourne Sandwich Farmers Market located at 1131 Sandwich Road.
Motion by Peter, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Melissa. Any further discussion? Seeing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? It's unanimous, 500. The next is the new farmer's market permit spicy water distillery, sampling and off-premises sales.
Are you,
Yeah, is there,
no, someone gets stood up.
Nice lady here.
oh, is there someone here to speak? Oh, welcome. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Cheryl St. Ange, and I'm representing Spicy Water Distillery. First of all, I want to thank all of you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I am the co-owner of No Strings Attached Limoncello, which is made and under the auspices of contract manufacturing at Spicy Water. So we would be the ones that would be representing at the farmer's market. I hope you have in front of you the packet of all the information that we went through with Joe and Lorraine, his wife, that the managers applied through the appropriate applications for the state, as well as, and the reason why I'm here, and I wanted to speak to you directly, is Cape Cod's built on small businesses. And we are, myself and my business partner who is here, we are a company of two former retired teachers from Worcester. And here we are making limoncello. And we just feel that by participating in the Sandwich Bourne Farmers Market, this would be a great opportunity for us to help us get our name out there, as well as that's what Cape Cod is built on. It is built on small business. So I hope that you would like to speak in favor of our application, and I would be more than welcome to answer any of your questions. We will be following the Massachusetts General Laws of Tasting, which was just approved just this year for a distillery to be there. The tastings will be exactly half of an ounce, just not even a full mouthful. And it will be well prepared, it will be well supervised. Anyone under 30 or young, or that we believe is younger than 30 is the deadline, we will card them to make sure that it's appropriately, and it will be protected for the children that are there. Do you have any questions?
Any questions from the board?
No,
Oh, thank you.
Oh.
I love a good farmer's market.
I love a good
Well,
I love a good limoncello. I discovered limoncello on my last trip to Italy.
Well, we're a cream-based limoncello.
Oh, interesting.
It's made at Spicy Water. It is made with rum, which he produces,
Yummy.
and then we add our cream base to it. And I would love for all of you to come on a Tuesday at the Sagamore Inn and stop by our booth, and we'll give you a tasting.
Oh,
Thank you.
sounds good. And I just have a new recipe for ricotta limoncello cake, so, yeah.
Well, that's one of the things that we're going to be doing is we're also going to be handing out recipe cards, because we want people to understand that limoncello isn't just for drinking after dinner. You can use it for cocktails as well as baked goods. And so we have recipe for cookies, cake, you name it.
Sounds great.
What other venues do you do your farmer? Do you do?
We're just starting. So we're, this was, we're just starting the process of getting to this stage and meeting in front of the selectmen. We do have applications in some of the other markets.
Sounds
So
great.
we are, we're looking to proceed from there, so.
Madam
She's
Chair?
on Shark Tank.
Look,
No, Kevin O'Leary would, I'd be afraid of him at this point.
So I'd like to make
Is
a
a motion.
motion, I'll take
Yeah.
a motion to approve the farmer's market permit for the sampling and sale of products for off-premises consumption produced by Spicy Water Distillery at the Bourne Sandwich Farmers Market located at 1131 Sandwich Road.
Second.
Motion by Peter, second by Melissa. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
aye.
Aye. Any opposed, abstentions? It's unanimous. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Thank you.
Look forward to seeing you on a Tuesday.
Yes.
We have, what meeting or?
Next, consideration of events. Buzzards Bay Coalition Annual Watershed Ride, October 5th, 2025, use of town roads renewal, one-day entertainment license. Do you want separate motions on this as well? Or is that,
No, this is the same organization.
okay. Okay. Is there anyone here from Buzzards Bay Coalition?
John York's hands up.
Yeah.
John, you have something to say?
I'm not representing the Buzzards Bay Coalition, but I do have something to say.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so first of all, I participate in this ride as a roadside volunteer, helping people get safely across the Pecasset Middle Deck Bridge. It's a great ride, it's obviously a great cause. They've been at it for a long time, they're pretty experienced. But I witnessed something during the Arborists ride last fall that about crossing the bridge that I wanted to mention. I know these people talk to Chief Esip and make arrangements for details in our town. So they walk across the bridge, which is a good, safe thing to do. One of the arborists on the arborist bike ride last fall got a flat tire while walking his bicycle across the bridge. He wasn't on the bicycle, he was rolling it next to himself. But there's so much glass on that sidewalk that it's very easy to pick up. And especially people who ride these longer rides or riding on thinner wall tires, that's an issue. So I think the Buzzards Bay Coalition people are pretty good at contacting the Corps of Engineers and getting them to clean the sidewalk before their ride. But in general, when you have groups coming to ride who are going to be walking across the bridge, you might have a just standard thing where you remind them to contact the Corps of Engineers and see if they'll clean the sidewalk ahead of time. That's one thing. The second thing that happened going over the bridge was a 16 by about 30-foot barge on a trailer with a big tractor trailer truck with a wide load sign on it, drove over the bridge. I went back and forth across the bridge a couple of times with different groups. So I had just gone across the bridge with one group of riders and was going back towards the mainland. None of their riders were walking across the bridge. This wide load barge overhung the sidewalk by several feet. I had to plaster myself against the railing to keep from getting killed. So and it was going onto the Cape, so a group of riders walking over the bridge might not even be looking back. And they were just extremely lucky, I think, that they went, there were none of their riders on the bridge while that wide load went by. So I believe wide loads like that also have to register somewhere. So if there was some kind of coordination, just to make sure that when the ride's going, there's not some ridiculous wide load going over the bridge. These are just details that I think are important. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Okay. Is there any discussion on the request of Buzzards Bay Coalition? Page 16 of our packet. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve Buzzards Bay Coalition use of town roads for the annual Buzzards Bay Watershed Ride and one-day entertainment license for acoustic music at Waterstock before Bourne Bridge, 6 Bourne Bridge approach, and to also be subject to any concerns by town departments.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Peter, second by Jean. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous. Next, license agreements. 1, use of 0 and 22 Emons Road, Monument Beach by Bourne Community Boating from June 1st, 2025 to October 15th, 2025.
Thank you.
Is this different than,
It's just a little different, like I have my memo Ed mentioned, we still had a discussion and there was some minor changes.
Okay. Who is going to explain what's different in this agreement from the agreement that we had in our
Sure, I can go
packet?
through it. It was very minor changes, but my memo outlines our discussions. And the Bourne Community Boating has been working with the Director of Natural Resources and Emily, the Marina Manager, and myself on working out a license agreement. So what was in your packet and what I just handed you, there's just very small differences. One of them is that the date actually is different in your, on the agenda versus what's in the actual agreement. And it will be, they've requested in the town or at least the staff has agreed that they can have a full year from June 1st to May 31st of the following calendar year. So, and I noticed there's a difference right in there. So that way it can have actually approval for use of storage during the fall, in the off-season, and to keep their sheds there as well. So, so that was one item. The second would be under, what was it? There's 2.4 in, on page 3. We had discussed this a little bit at length yesterday, and I did get advisement from town council. Initially, the staff had recommended a 10-day notification. The Bourne Community Boating had asked for 30 days. And then at yesterday's meeting, they actually expressed concern about that the town has the ability to put notification that the agreement has been terminated, and that could happen in the middle of the season and leave kind of the families who have registered high and dry. Unfortunately, if we remove that language, and this is the advisement that I got from town council, if we remove that language, that then becomes a lease, not a license agreement. So we cannot actually, and if it is a lease, then we have to go through the procurement process and open it up for anyone. So this is, the reason why it's a license agreement is that it allows the town the flexibility to terminate at will versus through a separate process. One of the things that is still outstanding that you will need to discuss is the payment. In my memo that was referenced in there, 3.1, you will have to discuss with Bourne Community Boating what the payment will be. That is something that the town staff cannot negotiate. And we had finalized yesterday also more of Section 9 of the furnishings and the equipment. So we got a little bit more detail of what actually is going to be placed on the premise. And, I'm sorry, the one last thing that we had discussed is the change of the hours to allow till 9 o'clock. That was one of the edits that Paul and I had noticed today, or Paul noticed, and I made that change. Other than that, that is the only minor difference, so. Okay.
Paul, do you have comments that you'd like?
Yeah, I want to thank Liz and Dan for their work. This is a totally new agreement form from what we've had for the last, I don't know, 15 years or something, and a lot more legalese, and I appreciate their help as we waded through it and cleared it up. I do want to just comment on what our problem was. The first version said that at the sole discretion for any reason or no reason, upon written notice, the licensee can be terminated with 10 days' notice. Well, we thought about that and said, gosh, that's awfully short notice. How about at least 30 days? And the more I thought about it, how about till the end of the sailing season, which was not the full year, but just the end of the sailing season? And the reason is we have now probably 70 to 80 contracts with residents of Bourne to teach their kids, where they've already started to make payments for the program. We have, I don't know, 7 instructors we have contracts with. So terminating that is going to be not only an embarrassment, but for no reason, to me, just smacks of, I don't think, I mean, 4 people can write to the selectmen and say, we don't like the program, and probably you can find 4 people that would do that. And all of a sudden you're faced with, and we get terminated for no reason that we are aware of. And how do we deal with that? We're in breach of contract. And I guess I would like some, if there was any way of putting some sort of a provision so that, so it's not sort of just totally arbitrary.
Okay. What is the date of the last date of the sailing season?
It ends October 1st, roughly. What does it say?
Well, do you have
What?
sailing classes in September?
No, very few, very little. It basically goes for 2 months. It says to October. Because we now and then do some fall programs, and especially if we get back into teaching this with setting up a sailing program with the high school. They want to start a sailing program like we used to do. They'd use our boats, and we would provide the instructor. Well, the new administrator, her daughter sails in Rochester, and so, and the racing program there, so they're very interested. Plus, we have an entity that is very interested in giving us a substantial grant to help us do that. And so it might be in the fall and it might be in the spring. But at least we just wanted to get through that sailing season, which for all intents and purposes ends at the end of August. Then we won't be in breach of contract.
Could we make it 60 days?
So what I'll say here is that it is important that you not be creating a property interest. One, it would have to go to town meeting if you're giving up a property interest. And 2, as the board knows, we've talked about this a number of years now, this program has not gone out to bid. This is town-owned property that has not gone through a procurement process. So this is something that we have to be very careful with. This is a compromise that council has advised us is okay, but we are walking a fine line of creating a property interest. So I would say that you're pushing, you're really pushing the limits by increasing it from 10 to 30 to 60. And I would definitely say it is not, you cannot make it a date certain. You can't say between now and like August 30th or something. That's creating a right over that term. I'll leave it up to the board's discretion about 60 days.
I have a follow-up question. The agreement revocable may be terminated by the licensor. So the licensor is the town of Bourne. Who in the town of Bourne would be able to make that determination for reason or no reason?
It would be the same process as authorizing this signature, so it would be the select board.
So, which would require a public, it would require a public meeting and require the select board to vote, and someone would have to say what whether the board would want to terminate it for reason or no reason.
I think that would be acceptable to us, because you've been very supportive of the program for a long time. The town's been very supportive, and we would expect, unless we really screw up.
Yeah, I mean, unless
if we do, then it's our
so,
fault.
if I mean, I would like the minutes to reflect that when we discussed this, that it would be the select board that would need to make the vote of termination. But with the select board vote in a public meeting in order to vote that, I think the 30 days is probably, I think we should follow our town council's,
I agree.
yeah, and just say that there'd have to be a notification and then, yeah.
I think in the future, we may want to actually consider the idea of a lease, because if someone's willing to, I mean, or the town could take over the program, but to be honest, if the town took over the program, it would cost the town $100,000. As it is, we raise 55% from tuition. The other, the rest is all donations and grants. So we have to raise close to $50,000 a year to keep going. So,
Well, I personally think that your organization has been amazing for all over the years, and for the service that you provide to the community and to the students. And I've yet to hear in all my years here that no one's ever been refused due to monetary situation. So you find a way to make sure that everybody's
we've
inclusive.
tried very hard. We have so far been successful.
So, I
But,
mean, it's,
insurance is going up, instructor salaries are going up, my salary isn't going up.
I guess, I think, this is a great
Thank you very much,
partnership,
Peter.
a partnership, between the town and the organization that everybody has a benefit, so I really appreciate it, so thank you.
There's only one issue, and I just want to mention it, because it presents a challenge to us, and we've been in discussion with DNR about it, when we may have some follow-up discussion, and we may actually bring it in before the Shore and Harbor Committee as a group. It was recommended that I do that, and that is when we bring the kids off the water and for lunch, there's approximately an hour between class changes. And so when we bring them in, what we do is we don't put the boats in the boat ramp because those are being used. We tie up outside the boat ramp where nobody's supposed to park a boat, and probably for good reason. Well, we know what the waters are, we know where the rocks are, and we tie up and we just bring the boats out because we have to walk the kids, according to our agreement, across the parking lot. The kids, our instructors have to stay with the students until they're picked up. And not all the parents are right on time, but some are. Anyways, and then the new kids come in and they have to have lunch, and then the new kids. And because there's a requirement now that there's only 15-minute tie-ups, okay, we can't use that space for about an hour. And it's out of the mainstream, and it's something we'd like to try to find a resolution to. We can bring them up on the beach, that's one possibility, provided the tide's not going out. But it's a tight thing because we really are strict at one instructor per 6 or 8 kids for our U.S. sailing accreditation, so we need to stick to that. And that's just a thorny issue that we haven't quite gotten to the ground, but DNR and Liz have been great working us through this. Questions?
Okay, was this $1 in the past?
Yeah.
That was in the previous MOU.
Okay. So it sounds like you're okay with the term of June 1st to making it a full year term to include the storage. You're okay with the 30 days with the proviso that the select board is going to be voting if there's a termination. And the payments, I'm fine with the dollar payment and then the hours, so. Any other questions or comments? You want us to make a decision as part of our motion on what the payment will be?
Correct.
Make a motion that we approve the license agreement between Bourne Community Boating and the town of Bourne. The license fee shall be $1. And the terms in effect from June 1st, 2025 and terminating on May 31st, 2026.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Is there anyone else from the public that wants to speak on this issue? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous. Welcome back.
Yeah.
Okay. Next is license agreement, use of various recreational ball fields by Bourne Youth Baseball from April 15th, 2025 to November 9th, 2025. Welcome.
Good evening.
Good evening. Could you introduce yourself?
Great. Thanks for hearing me. My name is Matt Karras. About 2.5 years ago, I stood before you and discussed the atrocious conditions that we had on the baseball fields. Since then, I've taken over as president of Bourne Youth Baseball, and we have worked with the Select Board, Town Administrator, the DPW, and the Recreation Department, and the Recreation Committee, and I can 100% say that the conditions of the baseball field are much, much, much better than they were before. Of course, there's still improvements to be done, but now our volunteers can actually focus on baseball rather than mowing lawns, edging the field, and doing maintenance to the fields. BYB has succeeded in the last year because we were able to now focus on baseball. Last year, we had an all-star program for multiple ages for the first time in over 6 years. Our 8U team even won the Sandwich Little League Summer Blast Tournament, going against 16 other teams. If it wasn't for the town taking over the services, including the electric and water, I don't know if we would have a baseball program today. The license agreement that we're hopefully going to sign is a commitment from the town showing that they support the youth of our community. However, there is one clause in the contract that I'm concerned with, 7.3, and that is our sponsorship banners. We're requesting that we be able to hang our sponsorship banners for the duration of our season. These banners are all from local businesses, and they're really the lifeline to fund our league. To have to take them up and put them down every night would not only be impractical, but frankly, it would be a burden on our volunteers that we could not sustain and would be the same commitment time as doing the maintenance on the fields. Without these banners, we would not be able to fund our baseball season, and frankly, it would fold Bourne Youth Baseball. I thank you all for your time.
Okay.
About 7.3.
Yep.
If you go to a Cape League game right now, you see banners in the outfield all season long. If you watch a game at Fenway, you have permanent banners that are on the Green Monster and other signage around the stadium. To me, I have no problem with the signs staying up the whole baseball season. I think it's part of the character to show how the local business is giving back to the community. And I think if we make you take them down every night, put them back up, like you said, you know, it's not productive. It's not a great use of volunteers' time. I realize what the license says, but I think we should look into waiving, not requiring that be done on a day-by-day basis, and just leave them up for the duration of the playing season. That's just my opinion on it.
Any other comments from the board? Comments from administration? So what's in here? What's in here now is 1 3x6 banner, 2 lawn signs on each parcel, and then they have to be taken back if they're not down. If they're not going to be, the field's not going to be used for more than 5 consecutive days. Is that?
Yeah, the reason why that the staff had felt comfortable with those terms and nothing beyond that because we felt that it would trigger a policy decision based upon that there are sponsorships on town property that are not authorized by the town. So your reference to Fenway is a private organization and a private company. It's not a public parcel. So, and other communities that have, they have policies written into place as to how many banners, what can go, what the size is, the color, the description. So there's nothing in place. So staff just didn't feel comfortable making any type of, having that discussion. That's for the select board to make that decision. And yeah, so that's it.
I don't know. I mean, if that's the case, then we got to look at creating a policy for this. I mean, this is just. I realize why you're saying that, but I just think it's a total waste of people's time.
This has been, I mean, they've been doing banners on these fields, like,
If you go to any town Little League field,
yeah.
that's how we fund these programs, is these
Right.
banners and our uniform sponsors. Every town, I don't think you could go to a town that doesn't have it.
And they leave them up.
I mean,
They leave them up for the season.
and they leave them up for the season. There's banners in town on town property that have been up there for 15 years for companies that are not
No
in
longer in
business
existence.
anymore. So,
Um, So, how many banners did you say you have?
we have so the only field that we have banners on is the Monument Beach Field on Shore Road. We have approximately 25, 30 banners. So that's 30 local companies that have given us at least $500 to sponsor our league. They've already been sold. It's kind of, it would be really, we would have to fold if I had to say to them, hey, I have to give you your money back because we can't have these banners up.
So you have 33 by 6 banners for sponsorships at Monument Beach Field?
Correct.
They're all along the fence, correct?
They're all along
Yeah.
the fence line in the outfield. It actually is more of it helps the kids out because without the banners, you can't really see you're going back for a foul ball or a ball, and all you see is a fence with grass behind it. You don't see that fence, and they'd run into it. So it's almost a safety thing also.
Yeah.
They're
And
running full
then,
speed.
so that you're asking for then 2 Bourne Youth baseball banners on the other field?
Yes, we'd just like to put our
Your logo.
logo up at each field.
Do we have a duration of the season dates?
It would go to so it would start April 14th and go to I believe the second or third week in November. Because we run our spring season into our all-star season, and then we go into our fall ball season.
Where's the dates? Is there?
April 15th through November 9th.
It's in,
2.3, which is page 1.
yeah.
23 on their packet.
I'm okay with approving 30 3x6 banners at Monument Beach Field and 2 3x6 Bourne Youth baseball banners on the other field from April 15th, 2025 to November 9th, 2025. With the understanding that before next year, we would come up with a
Propose it.
policy
Yep.
that would do that. Does that sound, yeah?
And are there lawn signs? No, that's
No.
just to cover the,
Does that need to be in there?
I think it's probably there for if we do registration as open. Hey, we just throw one, but it wouldn't be on the field. It would be, you
Yeah.
see the lawn signs around town where people put them. So
Yeah, those are governed by like the lawn sign.
They're temporary. anyway.
yeah, they're
the
Yep,
language
you can
is,
have them up for 30 days and
They're
then you
like
have to take them
election
down.
signs.
Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
that's town property.
So I'll make
So-
a motion, we approve the license for Bourne
Well,
Youth baseball.
we need to talk
We
about
need to-
money too,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
I was gonna say that, it's part of the motion.
Yeah, so section 3.0 is payments.
Yep.
Is the initial term of the license the 4/15 to 11/9, or is there like, I felt like there was some other date in here in the summer.
There's the 2025 year
And
and
the-
then 2 additional years
Have to-
Okay,
for possible extensions.
okay. Have you included in your financial decisions for setting fees and other things, any payment of the town for maintenance or for the use of fields?
So we discussed the use of fields. We were following the schedule that was put out a few years ago for nonprofits over 10 uses. I believe it's $400 per field is what we would be comfortable with.
Okay, and you hadn't figured anything for the maintenance piece of it?
No, nope. You know, kind of going into this is we're not the only ones that use these fields. Other entities in town do use that. They are public fields. They're not our fields. They're for the town of Bourne. You know, we're kind of just the main user.
Do you have another to say?
So now, we gotta talk more about the fee, about the payment amount first before I make my motion, or? are we-
Yes, yes. So, so, see, Jordan, I had, actually called, earlier today to find out what the policy of the schools was in charging for the use of school fields for youth. And I don't think the school charges, do they?
I know for basketball they do not charge, and I believe for softball also they do not charge.
Jordan's up there with his camera on.
Did you want to say something, Jordan?
No, just based off your call, I figured I'd tune in if there was any questions.
Okay.
More than happy to answer any.
Yeah, so I had called to find out what the policy was for maintenance, like did the schools charge for, maintaining of the fields, or did they charge fees for the fields? And correct me if I'm wrong, at this time, you're not charging for either, right? For the youth baseball, for the youth leagues?
Correct.
Right.
I think we should be consistent. The school's not charging, we shouldn't be charging either, and we can figure out a way, the financial part of it.
Yeah, and one of the things that Jordan said that he had started looking at fees and what other schools do or other towns do, and he was uncomfortable starting to charge fees that might be different from what the town was doing. So if we are going to have a policy on fees, which we've kind of talked about this for the community building too, like when should we charge, when should we waive, who do we waive? I mean, feeling that we have consistency on what we do, I think would be helpful.
Well, during the summer, when we do our priorities, we can see where that falls on the list.
Okay.
So, but for now, I feel we shouldn't charge, or just a nominal fee. He's budgeting $400 a field, and I'd say we take his offer of $400, no more than $400.
So for every dollar that we spend that can go into the baseball league would be preferable, but
okay.
we did say have that budgeted.
Yeah, so the three, and I think some of the 400s were waived down to 300 on the list. Like there were some of them that there was there's like two pieces of piece. So there was like a lot of information in terms of how they did the 10 hours or whatever. Yeah. So my philosophical position on this is it's for the youth of the town.
Yeah.
And it benefits the youth of the town, and it benefits other people in the town, and I think that's what recreation is.
Yeah.
I'd also like to add that we do not turn down anyone for monetary reasons. We had a donation from Representative Zaros for military children, so any military children got percentage off their scholarship this year.
Yeah.
And so there's 26 children in town that we gave scholarships to play this season. And they'll play they'll also get the scholarships for, you know, the all-star seasons if they make the team, or the fall ball when that happens. So, and it's no questions asked.
I think, that we should have I think we should only set the fees for the current contract year. And I would, I don't want to say anything people can say. I mean, we just charge Bourne Community Voting $1, so.
Yeah,
I'll
but-
take
then-
$1.
Yeah.
And then,
$1 per field, or $1, well, it's the licenses for all the fields, right, that they're using. Yeah, so,
We should charge what we've been charging regularly for the field use fee, the nonprofit field use fee.
and is that what you've been paying in the past?
Yes.
We paid it, it was waived one session, and then we paid it in the fall session. But the fall session, we use a lot less fields. So the summer session, we use 5 fields. The fall session, it's 2.
Anybody else have anything to add on whether we should charge or not charge?
well, like the gentleman said, we just charge, $1 to the voting group. I mean, the Bourne Community
They
Voting.
don't have maintenance. We don't do their maintenance.
Exactly.
We rake
We don't have to take care of anything for them.
We rake the beach and stuff, keep it clean. Granted, they try to,
But that's not because that's our beach that we're,
It's also your field.
right, yeah. No, I don't
What is
disagree, but it's just a,
what is the fee that has been charged?
Which is that just start last year?
It did.
So,
But in the
we
past,
charged
there was
them
never a
last
fee.
year.
It was one seat. We did just,
I'm sorry, can we
Go
hear
ahead,
from
sure.
Katie here, please?
does
Yes.
she have her hand up?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Katie.
Hi, good evening. Hi. So these field fees that are assessed in your packet, this is in accordance with the Bourne Rec outdoor facility reservation policies that the select board approved in FY19. These are the fees that I assess to all of the users of the fields. We have a section for nonprofit. We have a one-time use as well as a 10 or more uses rate. We also have a for-profit league one-time use rate. So in your packet, the total of $1,550 is just the fee in accordance to the policy.
What did you say it was? 1,000?
1,550.
Yep.
Yeah.
And those are assessed every time that anyone uses the fields. BYB, I believe, paid us $800 for the fall ball season, and the other fees have historically been waived
Right.
by the select board.
They were waived before we took on all of the costs.
Yeah.
Right.
The town now pays the electric and water bills as well as all of the maintenance fees through the DPW.
Mm-hmm.
So consistency on when we waive fees and when we don't waive fees, I think is something the board needs to discuss, because we waive the fees for Bourne Youth Basketball, and we waive community building fees for the Friends of the Council on Aging, and I think we should be consistent on waiving fees, and,
I agree.
my preference is to waive the fee because it's consistent with policy that we have done with other groups.
Make a
It's
motion
up to
every,
the board.
I'll guess this is just on the fees. I make a motion, we waive the fees for Bourne Youth Baseball for this fiscal year.
Is there a second?
Can you say for the term,
Yeah, right.
not, because it's.
Yeah,
it's-
for the
it's
term set
fiscal
forward in
years.
in the proposed license.
Well, there's 2 extensions.
You know, but, you know, we're only doing the one, the initial, we're not talking about the extensions.
Any extension would be determined.
Yeah.
To be determined upon the execution of the renewal.
Yeah. Yeah, we'd have to exercise the extension.
Yeah, so is the term of this is,
April 15th to,
November 9th.
yeah.
so there's a motion by Peter to waive the fees for Bourne Youth Baseball for the period of April 15th, 2025 to 11/9/2025 contract. Is there a second?
Just for discussion. Oh, that's fine.
All right, is there another motion on fees?
I make a motion, we charge $250 for the purposes of a fee for the term of, you know, starting April 15th and ending November 9th, 2025. Let's see if that works.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Peter, second by Melissa for a fee of $250 for this contract term, with subsequent contracts to be determined.
Yep.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? I don't know who said aye. Who said aye? 3, so it's 3. Opposed?
No.
No.
2. So the payment terms have been approved. 3 in favor.
Thank you.
At $250.
Now a motion to approve the license, the license.
Have we done the banners?
Yes, we have. Oh, actually, no, we haven't. No, we
No,
haven't.
we
We haven't voted on the banners.
No.
Motion that we vote to waive the requirement for the banners.
So I think what you want to do is, I think we want a motion to approve 30 3x6
Six
banners for Monument Beach Field and 2 3x6 Bourne Youth Baseball banners for the other fields for the period of the term April 15th to November 9th, 2025.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Peter, second by Anne Marie. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous.
So now
the banners are,
Great.
okay. So now,
It's a
as
motion.
amended.
Yeah,
Is
motion.
that it? Are those the only two things we had to
Yes.
decide?
Yes.
Okay.
So the motion to approve the draft license with the 2 amendments that we voted on as part of the main motion for Bourne Youth Baseball, with the term of April 15th, 2025 to November 9th, 2025.
With renewals,
Renewals.
subject to terms to be decided.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Motion by Peter, is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Peter, second by Jean. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous. So,
Great. Thank you all very much.
you're
Thank you.
welcome. Thank you for coming in. Okay. Next is a consideration of request from Anna's Pals regarding amendments to the P&S conditions for the transfer of Hoxie School. So I
Someone's hands up empty. I can't see it.
Yes, who is, could you identify yourself? Are you from Anna's Palace?
Yes, sorry, my computer was slow, I'm looking at you, but
That's
hi, I'm
okay.
Chris Jerome, I'm the president of Anna's House. Thank you so much for adding this to the agenda for tonight. We have been invited to apply for a $1 million grant from the underutilized property through the state of Massachusetts to work on this project. This grant basically deals with accessibility issues. The caveat is we have to use the money received within a year. So when we signed the purchase and sale agreement, it was stated in there that we could not phase out the project, that, you know, the town wanted us to permit it all and do it all at one time. I cannot guarantee if we were to get this grant that we would also have all the money needed to finish the project. So I guess I'm just asking if the select board would approve, if we were to receive this grant, would we be able to make the changes necessary to add the accessibility ramp that we are working on? This ramp would be different than most ramps you would see in a lot of older buildings. You know, they have those zigzag ramps that go in the front of the staircase. What our proposal would be, the ramp would run alongside of the gym building into that side door. So it wouldn't look like an afterthought, it would look like it was part of the building. Because of the historical significance of the building, we want to make as little changes to the exterior as possible. And we believe that the zigzag ramp at the front of the staircase would not be as attractive, and it would take away from the historical look of the building. So if we had an accessibility ramp that ran alongside of the gym and raised the roof of that breezeway area and had a ramp inside connecting the main school to the gym, that would use a whole bunch of that $1 million grant. Also in that would add the handicap accessible bathroom in that area. Sorry, I'm looking at the notes. It would include the grant would cover a complete set of drawings. Some of the demolition needed, it says in here full interior demolition. The whole interior is not going to be demolished, it's just certain areas. I mean, the classrooms and such are staying intact for the most part. It would pay for electrical service and partial distribution, some plumbing services and partial distribution, gas service and partial distribution, complete rough and finish of the recreation, of which is the gym area, a media room, and the bathroom that I mentioned, the handicap ramps. In that breezeway area now, it would be a new, that would be reconstructed, it'd be a vestibule that had doors going in, so there'd be a double door there for wheelchair accessible. And then for the safety of the patients, there would be another door, so it'd be like what you would typically see in a vestibule with two sets of doors, one going to the exterior and then one going to the interior. And then the installation of common room HVAC systems. And that's only if we were to receive the grant. There's no guarantee that we would get approved for that, but I would like to cover all the bases before we continue with the application, as it's pretty intensive.
For the chair.
Yes.
So what have you accomplished so far since you've taken possession of the building?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
What have you accomplished as an organization with the Hoxie School since you've taken possession of it?
We've had some significant fundraisers. We've raised about $1 million on our own. We've hired a consulting firm who has just finished the feasibility study, and they seem to believe that we will be able to raise the rest of the funds needed before our allotted time. But obviously this grant would make a huge dent in that money. Additionally, as you know, we replaced the roof and we did some yard work. We cut down a lot of overgrowth. There were trees growing into the building. I mean, it was just neglected for so long. We had to do some significant groundskeeping work over there.
Okay.
Okay, so, so are you just asking from the board that would you be definitely receiving $1 million of grant money, or could it be less?
It could be less. I mean, it's up to 1 million. I had a pretty lengthy phone call with the administrators of the grant. They know what we're doing. I mean, their whole job is to try to preserve these historic properties, and accessibility is one of their main things. There's no guarantee that we'd get it for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm asking if we were to receive it, would we be able to apply for a permit to use the funds given?
So if you were to get the grant, would they give you a certain amount of money to complete a specific part of the work?
You know what, it doesn't say that. It doesn't
Okay.
tell you what the scope of the money will be, or if they'll earmark something. They may. It just doesn't say that in the application process, and the gentleman I spoke to did not mention that.
Okay. So you're asking that if a grant is received, that the select board would allow the phasing of the work to be completed as a separate phase based on the approval of the grant?
Basically, yes. I mean, what we're asking to do would be to add mostly the accessibility ramp, which would be beneficial no matter who were to run the building if we were to leave. Not that we're planning on it. Obviously, we're in love with the town, in love with the building, and we're really working to make this happen. But adding a thoughtful accessibility ramp, I think, would benefit the building and the town. And fixing that breezeway area was already part of the previous group's mission too, because there's no way for a wheelchair to get from the school to the gym. There's staircases everywhere. Even if you use the ramp on the outside, you can't get from point A to point B. So this would solve that problem.
Any questions from the board?
So it's just basically upon being awarded the grant that they could start permitting process to complete the work within the grant timeline.
Right.
I'm fine with that.
Where, according to the PNS, they can't phase it.
Right, they gotta have the whole project presented at once.
Right. And permit at once.
Yeah.
And I think what we were trying to avoid is partial work that,
Right.
you
Then
didn't have enough
abandoning
money
it,
to get
yeah.
going.
Yeah.
And
And then it makes it more difficult for,
We didn't want what happened before to happen again.
Right, right. Have the $1 million grant money be spent and then it stops.
But none of this work's gonna start unless they receive the grant, so that's our protection, so.
Right, right. And you have to apply for the grant by June 3rd, right? By June 4th.
June 4th, yes.
That's why we got it on the
Yeah.
agenda, so that they'd have time. Any comments
Yes.
from the administration?
The only thing I would recommend is that if the board is inclined to do this, that your motion be to modify paragraph 7 to allow building permits to issue once award of the grant is confirmed.
So,
So if they're successful and receive the award, then we can
phase it.
modify number 7 and
They
we
don't.
can
Phase and phase.
issue permits for that.
Did 7 say that they couldn't get any building permits? Was that what the deal
Yeah.
was? with
Number,
7?
yeah, 7 is permitting, and it's where it says permits shall not be issued in phases.
Right.
Okay.
All right. So, yeah, 'cause it says the buyer knows the person.
Motion to modify paragraph
7.
7 to allow building permit issue upon grant award.
Once grant award is confirmed.
Yeah,
Is that your motion?
sure.
Second.
Motion by Anne Marie, second by Peter. Is that good? Okay. Is that good with you? Yes?
That's great, thank you so much.
Okay, so, any further discussion by the board? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, abstentions? It's unanimous. So good luck with
Great,
your
thank you all
grant.
so much.
Yep,
Good luck.
you're welcome. Good luck.
Thank you.
I heard her on the radio Sunday morning.
Did you?
Oh,
Yeah.
you did?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which one? There were 2 this weekend. Was it the Good Vibe Tribe or the other?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, thank you. It was, I'm hoping to get the word out. You know, we're trying hard to get those funds in so we can help these students.
Yeah.
These
great.
patients.
Yeah, it's a great program. Great.
Great.
Yeah, great
Thank you.
cause.
All right then, thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Welcome. 11, DPW updates. Crosswalk on Barlow's Landing Road. And Terrace Eldridge Meadows. Welcome, Mr. Sawicki.
Good evening, Matt Sawicki, DPW Director. So recently, there was a few incidents at the crosswalk at 314 Barlow's Landing Road, which is the Picasset Village Association. So we were asked to look at making some improvements to that area. We proposed to add some additional signage. Right now, there is no signs right at the crosswalk. So we like to add the double-sided signs, similar to what you see in downtown Buzzards Bay that we added last year. And we're also going to add a few signs farther back that say crosswalk ahead.
Yep.
Lighting was also an issue. Art and Engineering is the people who do our street lighting. We spoke with them. We could add poles and such, but we like to start out by just replacing the existing light to the east with a more powerful light, and then adding another street light to the west where there isn't one currently. Those should shine down enough on that crosswalk to add some illumination to that area. This was one thing, I think we need a vote to add a street light. Is that, I think was kind of really hasn't been done in a few years, so we weren't really sure. But I don't know.
The pole's there.
The pole's there, so we don't
Yeah.
need, okay, so,
Yeah, the pole, we're using existing poles.
Okay.
So we should be good to just add the light.
okay.
Okay.
So I guess unless you had any comments, we would move forward. We can do that within the existing, we can make these improvements within the existing DPW budget.
Now, looking at the locust map where the 2 poles are, that covers that small area by the building and the crosswalk. But one of the accidents that happened was because that building was over capacity for the night, with people standing outside and it was dark out. They go across the street. In order to get to their car, they were parking in the strip mall where the post office is, and they're going across and they're in front of our old fire station where it's pitch dark, and there was a pothole right in that general area where the person tripped. And I'm just wondering, and if the Picasset Community Center has more events, that's going to create a lot of activity, and they're not parking over there, we're still not fixing that problem. So I want to see if we can just put a spotlight, out front to just light up the driveway apron in front of that building, even though it is a closed station at night, on a timer, because it would make it safer, from someone walking by over there, because, it's like an attractive nuisance almost, because it gets dark, and all of a sudden, people park over, park in that side parking lot, and so I just think I'm grateful for the lights that you're looking to put in, recommend being put in on the light posts. It's great, but I just want to see, in addition to that, if we can just get maybe one sensor light off the front of the building that lights up that front driveway apron, just for safety reasons.
So I will say that has nothing to do with DPW.
No, I know, I know.
I want to just let
This is
Matt.
just-
I
this
mean,
is the
Matt was
crosswalk
asked to look at
issue.
the-
So we can,
Matt was asked to, our task was to
Yeah.
look at the crosswalk.
Yeah, crosswalk
All right.
issue, which
I
Thank
know,
you.
I know.
Well,
Seems to be a
and just
great
having those two
resolution.
lights there,
Will be-
well, that'll help.
I think it'll light up
Yeah,
the road
I think it'll-
significantly.
Yeah, I think, let's get these done and
We'll
then
try.
see if we
Yeah.
need to do anything else.
I'm gonna try it. I mean, I'm gonna try anything, so we'll see
So
if
you
it
don't need
works.
a vote from the board, this is just updating.
No, this is an
us.
update. Update.
It's administrative.
No, this is
And-
a great resolution, I
Yeah.
think.
That'll be a
just
big
make
improvement,
that
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's
crosswalk.
improved already. I mean, I think you've put in some little stanchion or something,
Yeah.
because I
Little
was by
cones.
there recently.
I know they
so.
appreciate what you've done over there.
But the
for sure.
signs will make a big difference, and the sign in front that says crosswalk ahead too is
Yeah,
gonna be.
that's awesome.
Definitely, yeah.
It's good, excellent improvements.
Yeah.
Are you also supposed to talk about Terrace and Eldridge?
Tim's here also, he's the expert on the betterments, but I can we're in the beginning phases. The residents from Terrace, Eldridge Street Extension came to us with the signatures to look at temporary improvements to the road. They didn't apply for the full taking at this point. Right now, they just have the signatures to look at making temporary repairs. We're going to work with them and put together the cost estimates. And once we see kind of what a full depth reconstruction of that road will work, I think they'll decide if they're able to get the money up front for the engineering and some of the work that would be necessary to do a full taking. So probably in the next few months, we'll be meeting with them and putting cost estimates together. And we'll probably be having some public hearings with the board, with the select board, to move forward with that project.
Okay.
So the idea now, or the point we're at right now is that we have a petition for a betterment request, but the road would remain private.
Right, and we didn't really address how to do this as a one-step, and it's almost difficult to do it, I think, as a one-step process. But one of the things I want to make sure of is that if a major repair, so what happened at Wimperell and Sandering, was that a major repair was done, and there was no as-built at the end, so we don't have any documentation of what was done on that road. So if there's major, if it's not just a mill and overlay, if they're gonna do some major work that includes drainage and other things that would result, that the as-built for the road work be included in the estimate for the work to be done, so that we have a document at the end that would say, this is what the road layout is, and then they could do that as a second thing, right? Is that possible?
So they have to do a lot of that work ahead of time, which is what adds to the complication. So they have to come up ahead of time. Well, no, the as-built, but they have to do the drainage kind of preliminary design prior to getting into the betterment process, if they want to do a taking. The as-built, yes, they can be done.
But if there's drainage work done as part of the betterment, wouldn't that be documented and
Yes, that would be
as-built?
yes,
Right.
yes.
And after that's all done, after the drainage work is done and there's an as-built, if, after all that's done, if they come back and then file for a taking, would they have the documentation, or would there be other things that they need?
They'd still have to do, if they did all the drainage and they did all the road improvements. But if they just did a small portion of the drainage, I don't know if it would be enough work to have us take the road.
Right. Because there's a whole approval process and pre-qualifications in the policy.
Having the as-built will help that section, but I don't know if it'll give us enough information to take the entire road if it wasn't planned ahead.
No.
But if there is major work with drainage, there will be an as-built
Yes.
done as part of the betterment process.
We should have it anyway.
Yes.
That we
after
should
the
have
fact.
it, yeah.
I mean, yeah. Okay.
So there's still more to come.
Yes.
Yeah.
Still,
This is the first one we've had in a while, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
we're hoping more people come forward to.
In towns that do accept roads, when the road is laid out and accepted by the DPW director as being properly laid out for acceptance, usually that road has to go through a winter before it's actually accepted by the town. So, you know, maybe we can come up with some sort of two-step process where they do the betterment and goes through winter and then it goes to the next step. We'll have to figure it out. It's new.
I have to, this is, I don't want to give anyone I don't want to mislead anyone or give anyone the wrong impression. If we don't have the information both on the layout and all of the legal documentation, and we don't have the design certified up front, there should be no expectation that it's going to get taken afterwards. We need that up front, and the town, because the roads are private, cannot front that money.
Right.
So that, just because they do this work and there's an as-built at the end, I don't want to give anyone the impression that means it's going to be taken.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Matt. Next item is review of draft comment letter to Mass Housing regarding Deer Path Village 40B.
So on page 82 in your packet, there's a draft letter from Jennifer Copeland, the town planner. And she and I are recommending that this goes out over her signature, but we would like the select board to make any comments or revisions to the letter that you would like to have incorporated. And once it's finalized by you, she will sign it and send it off to Mass Housing.
Are there any comments from the board?
That's good.
It's good that we're seeing more proposed affordable housing somewhere in town where it's definitely needed. I mean, we're at 7% right now. So, you know, this will put a good dent into that, you know, getting up closer to the 10%, and anything we can do to offer something like this is great, you know, because it's becoming more expensive to live anywhere, not just the Cape, so anything we can do to provide some reasonable housing at affordable prices is great.
I think addressing the issues about roadway and access and water service are important.
Yeah.
And the environment as well, like delineating wetland areas in those areas, which she identified in the letter.
I thought the letter was well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very nice.
Thank you, Jennifer.
All right, so is there a motion to,
Motion to approve the comment letter on behalf of the select board under the town planner's signature.
is there a second? Motion by Peter, second by Jean. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous. Okay. Discussion. Charter Review Committee. So, the charter says that we should do a review every 5 years. The last one was done in 2020. So, it's 2025, so, the procedure is usually to advertise for a charter review committee as soon as possible after town meeting so that they can get appointed and have, get their work hopefully by the next town meeting, so. I don't know if we want to set particular dates, advertise for members for a charter review committee, or if we want to just have it come back with a, like, draft proposal for how many members and anything else.
I would
How
like-
would you like that?
I would like that, you know, get the information back before we set a date.
Okay. So, some sort of draft for the June 3rd meeting?
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. Next is Discussion for the library building committee, same deal. We need a charge of the committee, number of people, who they're gonna be. So we wanna have that draft for that to
Yeah.
come to us.
Yeah.
What timeline are we looking at for this? I mean, we have a lot of
Yeah.
RFPs and XYZs and
Well,
RFQs
yeah,
and
so-
committees, so I think.
Well, town meeting
Where's it gonna
voted the
fit?
OPM, so the next
Right,
step, in
that-
order
that
to
is the next
have
step,
a
but I'm just
designer
saying,
select, you
we
need
have
to
to-
have you need to have a building committee to go to the next step.
No, I
so.
do understand that, but I think timing-wise, I mean, I think we should also reach out to trustees and see,
Yeah.
What timeline works well with them too, and in their planning. And then with us, I mean, we got a lot of,
That's fine.
but a lot of
So-
committees.
So what's the pleasure of the board? You want to reach out to the trustees and ask when they would like us to think about establishing a committee, or?
I would,
Yeah.
I would go that way.
Yes.
I mean, there's so much
And
I
with
mean,
I think it'd be, yeah,
And what's, yeah.
versus having a joint
How,
meeting.
how
yeah.
much, I mean, it'd be nice to know what we have out there now and what's coming in and what's in the queue with respects to RFPs and, because we have to
Right.
put out an RFP.
So we did have a very capital-heavy town meeting.
Right.
And I will say, we have a number of things that the departments need to take care of right away on July 1st that are seasonal, there are season dependent.
Yeah.
And schedule dependent. I would prefer that this building committee not issue, or I would prefer that we not issue an RFP until the end of summer timeframe. So I would say that this building committee doesn't need to, I'm not going to have a draft charge for this building committee at your next meeting.
No, that's
No.
fine. I'm not.
No, that's
I'm
not,
just-
that's why we should have this discussion.
Yeah, this
because
is what
where-
yeah, so,
Where
I
is it
mean-
gonna fit within the whole, I mean, it's not the only thing on the agenda,
Right.
in our.
I don't even think they have a final draft feasibility report yet, so.
Right.
That's tomorrow.
So,
yeah.
so,
Yeah.
shall we
And then it still
say,
has to be
shall we
presented to
say
the
that we
trustees
will
and then-
tell the trustees that when they feel that they're ready to start moving forward with a feasibility, that they notice the board?
No.
No?
No, I would prefer that you give me a little bit of time to get some of the capital that is.
Okay.
Is schedule dependent underway after the start of the fiscal year. And then we will notify the trustees when we're ready to put out this RFP.
Well, RFP for what?
The
The
OPM.
OPM.
Well, we have to establish a building committee before that RFP, right?
Not necessarily. You
Simultaneously.
established, we put the RFP out for the ISWIM OPM before the
Okay.
building committee was established.
Okay.
But I would prefer that the trustees stand by until I have a procurement schedule that is workable for us.
Okay,
And then we work backwards on establishing the building committee based on when we're able to do the RFP.
okay. So it'll be on a list of things for a future agenda? Okay, that's fine, that's good.
And then and then, once we have that schedule, reach out to the trustees and say, here's the situation,
Okay,
here's the schedule. Yeah, because there's still some work to be done
okay.
with feasibility study.
Next is social equity, HCA application process and schedule. This got moved up from June 3rd because June 3rd is legislative update. So, I guess the question is, we had a rating process for scoring, and the Cannabis Control Commission published a template last January after we were all done. And they were much more like detailed in terms of 7.5 for this, 7.5 for that. They had a lot of more metrics. It added up, I think, to about the same amount. So the question is, are we comfortable with going ahead with basically for the social equity, using the metric that we used before, or do we want to entertain the cannabis control metric, or?
I mean, do we also have to revisit the social equity policy and the delineation? Because town council, you know, in the recommendations that town council made.
Well,
I mean, can we kick this to policy sub and have policy sub come back and
I don't want to drag this too long. I
review
mean,
it?
I don't want to.
I'm not sure what we need from them for social equity. I mean, we made a decision that we were gonna hold a license, and
Right.
and so, you know, I think we should be going out for the license.
Well, we've been far removed from it for a little bit. I just want to make sure that we're, you know, as per the Cannabis Control Commission.
Or maybe just have one meeting with town council lawyer assigned to this, and just go through what we have, and if she recommends that we need to make some changes, then we do that. But if not, I personally think we're ready to go. I don't think it's much work here, you know, other than advertising and then doing it. I know it's more than that, but I mean.
Well, the application,
The application process is pretty much the same, except for
Yeah.
it's limited to social equity.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I don't think we need to reinvent the wheel. We had an application process that people applied for. They gave us the information.
So you're saying to have town council look at the differences between the template provided now and what.
And they can
what
give us a
our
report
scoring
back.
was.
I do think we need to change the application process to make it crystal clear that all information must be submitted at the time of application, and
Yeah.
no information may be submitted after the date.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
Oh, yeah,
that's,
no.
yeah. And I can't remember, I'll have to read it. I'm just not,
We gotta brush
I'm
up
just
on
not,
it.
yeah, I've gotta focus in on reviewing everything and going back to the original documentation and then the process again. I just haven't done it. I'm just wondering if there's anything missing from that relative to what the Cannabis Control Commission requires with respects to the social equity and how we're promoting it. I'm just reviewing all that. I just need to go back and look
I do too.
and review.
Okay, well, we'll put it on the list then.
Under let's mean indefinitely, or do we want to put
Because
this
even the
on?
way we publicize it has to be a little different, I think.
I would like
we
this
have
on
to
the
make-
agenda in June, so we keep the momentum going. I don't want to say we'll get back to it and all of a sudden it's the end of summer. So,
Yeah.
so I think if it's not the first meeting in June 3rd, definitely by the second meeting in June
Okay.
at the latest.
I mean, do we have people knocking on our door right now?
I have no idea until we put the application out.
Yeah.
Several people have actually reached out to me asking for status updates.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's people that I think they're waiting, and, you know, we've kind of put it off for 6 months.
I don't think we
so.
should drag this
Yeah.
for
I
much
don't think we
longer,
should
just
drag it, I'm
because,
just,
you know, you
you
don't
know,
want
I need-
someone
I need to- I
to
mean, we have
start
a- we have
complaining
a-
that we're
We have a lot of.
showing bias or something by not proceeding.
So that's why you said
Yeah.
no more than the middle of June.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think,
I'll dive back in, I'll make sure I dive back in.
okay, so we'll try to get this on the June 3rd or June 10th agenda. Okay. Preparation for the CWMP. When I reached out to DEP to follow up with them on their offer to come and talk to us, they did say that they would come on the 28th, but they asked if there were questions for there to be, that we would like DEP to answer,
Okay.
to kind of get some of the questions to them in advance. So, when I answered that. I said, I really want to understand the difference of enforcement with a watershed permit and without a watershed permit. But if you, if there are questions that you have, maybe the best way is to have them sent to the town administrator, and then the town administrator can send them to Drew Orsay, because we can't really have deliberation outside,
yeah.
so it has to go to a non-member so they're coming on the 28th, so maybe, you know, if you can like think about this in the next couple of days and get it to Marlene so that she can forward them to Drew. Is that good?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. And then, on the draft agenda that we were provided, I do think we have to have an agenda item that just makes clear that we want to talk about the watershed permit and whether or not we want to proceed with a notice of intent.
Yeah.
So on the on the agenda that Helen provided, it says next step options for finalization of seed UMP and implementation of the plan. Final decision on implementation without filing watershed permit, decision to finalize the recommended plan based on the watershed permit decision. So, in my opinion, that's pretty clear that watershed permits will be discussed, or.
Right, but we are, if we don't file a notice of intent by July 7th of 2025, the letter, the DEP says, and this is something we can talk about, if we don't do it by July 7th, what's the difference? Is it going to be open to us in the future? How does it change? So I think an agenda item to say, you know, discussion of filing notice of intent is different than whether we're proceeding with a plan for watershed or not watershed. I think it should be specifically on the agenda so that we have an agenda item that we could take a vote on if we so desired.
MIPA has told you you have to do a DEIR to study a watershed permit. I don't understand how you can make that, I don't understand how you can make that decision given the MIPA certificate.
Well, we can have an agenda item to discuss that, to make that decision, to deliberate. If we don't have the agenda item, we can't deliberate on it.
And I guess I'm asking, what is the objection to the items on the draft agenda, the way they're written?
They can stay there. It's just an additional agenda item that would say discussion on filing a notice of intent watershed permit for the two TMDLs that we have.
But that's what it says, final decision on implementation without filing watershed permit. That's the decision point. Do you file for the watershed permit or you don't? And then decision to finalize the recommended plan based on the watershed permit decision.
I think that allows us opportunity to have a deliberation on, specific to the watershed permit.
It allows us to have a decision. Look, if
Discussion.
everyone's going to say, fine, we can vote to have a NOI based on the agenda as it's written, then I'm fine. I just want to make sure that there's no question that that can be voted, because finalizing a decision on watershed or not watershed is different than deciding whether or not we want to file a notice of intent. Because you can file a notice of intent to file without having all the decisions made. But if you don't file a notice of intent, and there's things that have to be done to file a notice of intent, so we're getting close to a time when we have to decide, yes or no, we're going to file a notice of intent. And I think it will not be clear until we have that meeting on the 28th. There's a lot in that, and there's a lot that we might learn from DEP. So it's fine. We can leave the agenda the way it is. And then if whatever we decide that we need to talk about isn't covered under the agenda, then we can ask to have another agenda item. But you're saying to me you feel that discussion of filing a notice of intent is incorporated within those two agenda items?
Yes, I think the board has full discretion to decide if and how you want to proceed with a watershed permit or not.
Okay, that's fine then. Okay. Town administrator's report.
The planning board has released the lot at 2 Kendall Ray Place, and the applicant has applied for building permits to begin clearing the property in advance of construction. Residents will begin to see activity on the property. The Sagamore Beach ramp is finished and open. DNR has done a great job this spring with the mooring renewals, and all of the permits have been issued for the season. 4 wait lists have been eliminated, and 84 new mooring offers were made before the start of the summer. We anticipate being able to make another round of new offers in the fall. We have a full complement of lifeguards returning for the season and plan on guarding Monument Beach beginning June 21st. We have not been able to secure a water safety instructor yet, but we are still working on this and are cautiously optimistic that we may be able to provide some limited swim lessons during part of the summer. Portable toilets are scheduled to be delivered on May 19th to all the same locations that were covered last summer. Our contract includes twice weekly servicing, and we have ordered additional service for the 4th of July weekend. ISWIM has diverted 9.51 tons of food waste from the landfill through the end of April so far in calendar year 2025. The Route 6 exit 55 off-ramp will be closed on May 15th from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. There will be a detour in place overnight for the duration of MassDOT's work. Comcast is remaining in contact with me and staff at Bourne TV. They have made a number of site visits and have completed their survey. The installation of upgraded fiber is scheduled, then the new equipment will be installed. I will continue to stay in touch with Comcast and provide additional updates as I receive them. Weather permitting, work is scheduled to begin on the roof at Fire Station 3 on Friday. I'd like to provide an update from the Health Department on the opioid needs assessment and implementation plan. In May of 2024, we released an RFP seeking a consultant to conduct a comprehensive needs assessment and develop a strategic plan to address substance use disorder and opioid use disorder. Advocates for Human Potential was selected to lead this initiative. Advocates held a kickoff meeting with the town and key stakeholders on November 15th, 2024, and began data collection on December 10th, 2024. This phase involved a client survey, analysis of local, county, and state data, focus groups, and key informant interviews. By early February 2025, advocates transitioned to analyzing the data. In March 2025, the Bourne Substance and Opioid Use Settlement Needs Assessment Report was finalized. It outlined the assessment process, key findings, and a summary of strengths and challenges within the community. Community strengths identified strong cross-sector collaboration, education system support, support for at-risk populations, active network of service providers, and decreasing stigma around substance abuse. Challenges highlighted included transportation barriers to accessing services, economic and housing instability, low community resilience, gaps in treatment availability, limited culturally responsive resources. The key priorities identified were based on the assessment, Advocates outlined 5 strategic priorities aligned with the Massachusetts State Subdivision Agreement, including improve transportation access to reduce barriers to behavioral health services, enhance resource navigation to connect individuals with harm reduction, treatment, and recovery services, implement youth prevention education using evidence-based programming for youth and caregivers, reduce stigma around medications for opioid use disorder, particularly in healthcare treatment and recovery settings serving older adults, expand access to harm reduction training and supplies for full and part-time residents. Currently, Advocates is collaborating with the town's opioid abatement advisory group to develop a strategic implementation plan. The advisory group was assembled by the health director and includes representatives from police, fire, Bourne Public Schools, Upper Cape Tech, Council on Aging, and the health department. This group is focused on establishing a shared vision, identifying spending priorities, developing initial action strategies, and assigning leadership roles for implementation. A draft of the full report will be presented at a community forum later this month, offering the public an opportunity to provide feedback to improve upon or further strengthen decisions by the advisory group. The finalized report will be submitted to the town and formally presented to the select board later this summer.
Thank you. Minutes of May 5th.
I just ask one question about the toilets.
The porta potties?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it going to be anchored in any way this year? Is it the same?
We can't.
Yeah, okay. Thanks.
Motion to approve the minutes of May 5th, 2025 as presented.
Motion by Anne Marie. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jean. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous. Any committee reports?
Ice Rent's been meeting pretty regularly every 2 weeks or so. They are making progress, as you know, by having these meetings more often, and the concept plans have changed dramatically, and so I also see progress. So one meeting at a time, we'll just keep on plugging along.
The Southside Fire Station is going to have one more question and answer session tomorrow night at 7 p.m. at the Pecasset Village Association building.
Okay. Is that it? Okay. Correspondence?
Correspondence for May 13th, 2025. A, Bourne Substance-Free Coalition Agenda Request, Naxalone boxes, am I saying that right? B, DEP letter, final land use control implementation plan. C, DEP letter, final second 5-year review, Osborne Pond. D, DEP letter, updated final record of decision, Old Grenade Courts. E, Cape Cod Commission letter regarding Next Grid Solar at 0 Ernest Valeri Road. And F, 2025 Camp Edwards tour flyer.
Okay, thank you. For the naloxone boxes, that needs to get put on a future agenda. I think maybe June 10th when I talk to her, because the legislative update usually takes a long time, so
Yeah.
June 10th, maybe, if we can fit it on there. Any other agenda items?
Did we talk about the police station roof and what next steps?
Well, we should have an agenda
agenda
item for
item,
that, yeah.
I was surprised. Yeah, I thought for sure those were just going to be approved. Our town surprised me at town meeting, for sure. I thought both of those would go, get passed right away, and crazy. Yeah, I was surprised they got voted out. Yeah, to be honest.
Well, the police station roof was actually very close for two-thirds. It was like
Close,
two
but
votes or something.
still, yeah. Well, for all the talking we do about maintaining buildings, and we have to take care of the leaks before we damage any more
Right.
I think a lot of it was, too, is, well, we can't debate.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we'll get
well,
it.
a future agenda item.
For a future agenda item, I would like to see maybe the trustees of the community building come before us, and the subject matter is the lack of sound quality here in this room. I can say I've battled ear deafness in this year for many, many years. And when I sit out in the audience at times, I have a hard time hearing people talk. And I've heard from people, from elderly as well, that even with hearing aids, and they have a hard time hearing. And under true transparency, we should try to provide as much sound clarity as we can get in these public meeting spaces when we're posting meetings and hosting meetings. So I don't know what the option is, if it falls back to Bourne TV, or if it falls on us as a town to provide the sound clarity, because I believe these speakers in the back of the room are operated by, I think they're part of, the town system and not the Bourne TV system. But I just think some follow-up on sound quality in public meeting spaces is a must, and especially for ADA, because if I'm having a hard time hearing sitting out there, I'm taking it as an ADA problem as well.
So these microphones aren't amplifying, they're only going to the board
Right,
TV.
right.
So, yeah, so we can have that on the list.
Unless the town administrator can work it out administratively through operations to figure out what the problem is. I don't know. I mean,
Well, the trustees have care and custody of
the
this building,
building,
correct?
yes.
And they're elected,
yeah. Well, with
probably has
that-
to start there.
Yeah.
I can bring it up at our next meeting.
Thank you.
Okay. Next meeting dates, and a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Most to adjourn, yeah, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, abstentions, it's unanimous. Thank you.